Jurassic Park is not only one of the most iconic and groundbreaking motion pictures of all time, it is also one of my personal favorite feature films. And while director Steven Spielberg and his team of special effects wizards at ILM and Stan Winston Studio thrilled and terrified audiences the world over, as a fan of both the film and the original novel, there are still so many layers left to uncover from a story standpoint. And with special effects heavy series like The Mandalorian being so successful, a big budget mini-series of Jurassic Park would be an excellent companion piece to the novel and Spielberg's film, particularly if the series took a darker tone and remained more faithful to Michael Crichton's best-selling novel. So with the caveat that they would respect the source material, which puts this firmly in the realm of fantasy already, let's see who we can dig up to star in a mini-series version of Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park.
Hold on to your butts.
Before we get to the big three, Dr. Grant, Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm, I'm going to briefly touch on a few of the lesser characters. That's just how YouTube works, I don't make the rules. But speaking of how the internet works, be sure to leave a comment and give us a like. It's completely free, but it really helps out the channel with YouTube's algorithm.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
First off, in some clever casting, for Robert Muldoon, I would personally cast Hugh Jackman, because who wouldn't want to see Wolverine go up against a velociraptor? In Michael Crichton's novel Jurassic Park, Dennis Nedry's motivations are fleshed out to a greater degree, as are his interactions with Dodson and his overall character. His death scene is also far more graphic and horrifying when compared to its film counterpart. And while this may sound like odd casting at first, I would personally cast Paul Dano, who you will probably recognize as the weird guy in whatever you've seen him in, as the hapless Dennis Nedry. While Dano could easily portray the intelligence required for a computer technician, he is also more than capable of playing the more sinister side of the character as well. I also feel with his acting ability, he could make audiences feel a sense of pity for him, despite everything he's done during his final painful moments as he is attacked by the 8-foot Dilophosaurus. As for Lex and Tim, I'm not really up on the latest child actors these days, but just so they're not Disney Channel kids, that's all I ask. While I personally prefer Richard Attenborough's kindly portrayal of John Hammond in the Steven Spielberg film, in the novel, Hammond is blinded by greed and goes through regular mood swings between jovial and grandfatherly to demanding and furious, particularly as the situation deteriorates in the park. This duality of his character will be interesting to see on screen, delving deeper into the story from the book. Being the owner of the park, Hammond would require a certain level of respectability. This would also make his deterioration more tragic as the series went on. With this in mind, the three actors I would be interested in seeing in the role would be James Earl Jones, for his commanding voice and presence, playing what would amount to the role of Mufasa's fatherly tone, merged with Darth Vader's anger and impatience. Anthony Hopkins could also do justice to the role, given his career and stage training. And finally, as strange as it may sound, Patrick Stewart. While he is certainly capable of playing a kindly grandfatherly figure, he can also play a cruel taskmaster. And I, for one, would personally love to hear either Patrick Stewart or James Earl Jones utter the iconic line, "Welcome to Jurassic Park." And now we will discuss our three leads, Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, and Dr. Malcolm. And since I'm such a gentleman, we'll let the lady go first. Honestly, the character of Ellie Sattler didn't leave much of an impression on me from the book. I felt she was more fleshed out in the film myself, but I do remember she's supposed to be younger than Grant, and quite a
Clever girl.
If Dakota Fanning was still acting, she would honestly be my first choice. She was always bright and highly articulate, even as a small child. So as an adult, I'm sure she will be able to breathe some much-needed life into the novel version of Ellie Sattler. My second choice would most likely be Emma Stone, since she fits the main criteria. 1, she's the proper age, and 2, she has enough personality on her own to help Dr. Sattler come alive on the screen. Moving right along to the Dinosaur Man, rather than Sam Neill's gruff curmudgeon portrayal of the character, Dr. Alan Grant in the novel loves children because they share his enthusiasm and wonder for dinosaurs. Meaning not only does the role require an air of intelligence, but a wholesome nature as well. And for this reason, there are two actors that come to mind. First will be Kyle Chandler from the classic television series Early Edition, and more recently, the modern Godzilla films, due to his aptitude for playing a kind, fatherly role, while retaining the dramatic qualities necessary for a thriller of this sort. But surprisingly enough, Ewan McGregor is my top choice for Alan Grant. He is described in the novel as having a beard, and it isn't difficult to picture a friendly twinkle in his eye as he discusses dinosaurs at the beginning of the series, before the more horrifying events occur at the park. His range as an actor and natural on-screen charm would make audiences instantly connect with him as a character. Far from the quirky charm of Jeff Goldblum, Dr. Ian Malcolm in the novel served as Michael Crichton's personal voice of righteous indignation towards unscrupulous scientists and businessmen alike. And no one does preachy intellectual righteous indignation quite like Michael Shanks, who some may recognize as Dr. Daniel Jackson from the popular sci-fi television series Stargate SG-1. Not only would Michael Shanks give the role of Dr. Ian Malcolm the intelligence it requires, his ability to deliver complicated, long-winded, though heartfelt arguments for what his character believes is right would give the novel version of Dr. Malcolm a much-needed likability, while retaining the essential character elements from the book. And as a nifty plus, it will mark the second time Michael Shanks would play alongside a character named Hammond. So you see, it is all connected. But those were my casting choices. What did you think?
That was great.
Nobody cares. Yeah. I really hate that man.
Who would you like to see in a Jurassic Park miniseries? Comment below, and be sure to tune in next weekend as I review the much-anticipated Dune. This week's video was brought to you by the generosity of Snowtrooper Captain Noah Dingley. If you've enjoyed our content over the years, please consider donating to our PayPal today to help support the channel. Any amount helps. This has been Vader Reviews, and always remember,
life finds a way.